for justice!
What's so awesome about Mew is that it contains the DNA of every single Pokemon in existence, which is why it's known as the ancestor of all Pokemon, and also means it can learn pretty much any attack. Versatility is certainly this Pokemon's biggest strength, even being able to travel through the air or undersea. So, getting into gameplay, when it comes to having a versatile Pokemon, Mew is the very definition with a base stat total of 600. Each of its stats are evenly distributed at exactly 100 each, and it can learn any attack and even transform into any Pokemon. So for pretty much every situation you find yourself in, Mew is probably a solid option. Next up on the list is Mewtwo. This Pokemon is really more like a person than a Pokemon. It can communicate with humans using telepathy and operates completely on its own without a trainer. Mewtwo's powers are immense. First of all, it was created using parts of Mew's DNA and was created to be even more powerful than said Pokemon. Levitation, mind control, and as stated before, telepathy are just a handful of Mewtwo's powers, putting him in a pretty terrifying category of power. Combine all that with the fact that it can mega evolve into 2 other forms, and you have an absolute beast of a Pokemon on your hands. And to make it even more dangerous, Mewtwo is vicious, cruel, and lives to defeat and obliterate its enemies, so it's definitely not one to be your friend. Mewtwo sits at a solid 680 base stat, specializing in speed at 130 and special attack at 154. And it's not really severely lacking in any, thing else, with its lowest stat being 90 for both defense and special defense. Mewtwo is probably my favorite Pokemon of all time, but there are a lot more powerful ones to discuss, so we gotta move on. Next up on the list, we have a real fan favorite, Rayquaza, and of course Mega Rayquaza. Rayquaza is the master of the weather trio, and out of all the dragon type Pokemon, Rayquaza takes the crown as the strongest of them all. It traverses through the sky at such a speed and altitude that it's indistinguishable from a meteor and has the power to alter the weather. It also consumes its energy from meteorites, consuming them and protecting the planet from atmospheric threats. Once enough energy has been consumed, it can mega evolve, becoming the aforementioned Mega Rayquaza. Mega Rayquaza is a serious offensive threat in gameplay with its attack and special attack stats at 180 and an overall base stat of 780. Next spot on the list goes to the legendary dual type poison and dragon Pokemon Eternatus, and by extension Eternamax. This thing is just totally otherworldly and frightening, not just in its power, but its appearance and sheer size too. It's the tallest Pokemon in existence, and that's even before it enters into its even larger true form. Eternatus is responsible for the Dynamax and Gigantamax that Pokemon are able to obtain, increasing their size and power significantly upon its use. Eternatus doesn't use this ability itself, instead entering into its true form, Eternamax, upon absorbing mass amounts of energy at once. In-game, Eternamax is unable to be used by players, only appearing when Eternatus uses Eternabeam, and that's really only fair because Eternamax has the highest base stat of any Pokemon in the series at an ungodly 1,125. Yeah, not really a point in going into the individual stats there when the overall number is that insanely high. Only reason I'm not putting this one higher on the list is because Eternatus can't actually be used in-game. Coming in at the top of the list is without a doubt Arceus, the master of the creation trio. I think the creator of possibly the entire Pokemon universe probably deserves to take the #1 spot. Arceus is so powerful that it's almost like it's not even a Pokemon at all, with immense power and its true form being incomprehensible to us regular human beings. Is it really a Pokemon or just God itself in this world? Arceus has powers well outside what many other Pokemon in the series possess. It's been seen manipulating time, traversing dimensions, bringing things back to life, making things vanish into thin air. It can imbue Pokemon with greater power. It created the creation trio and is also thought to have created, as mentioned before, the entire Pokemon world. Arceus is like this deity watching over the planet as a protector, but not always directly intervening in situations, acting sometimes as more of a guide. It really is godlike in that way. In-game, Arceus is, as you can probably imagine, an absolute powerhouse with one of the highest base stats of any Pokemon at a whopping 720. This thing is pretty powerful, and it's versatile, with each individual stat at an even 120. Adding to its versatility even more is its ability to change type while holding a Z crystal or plate.